Hello, the channel. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Hendo. Welcome, Quinny, to the channel. First
Hail,
time,
hail the channel.
you'll hail the channel. Come on, Hendo, give us a hello, the channel.
I can't give you a hail the channel. I'll give you a
No,
hello
hello,
the
the
channel.
channel. Come on.
Hello the channel. How we doing?
Hello, the channel. Right, introduce the boys. 23,001 on YouTube, isn't it? 23,001, yeah.
23,001 anywhere. You can search a name, probably. You'll probably see something come up on it. And yeah, that's me, pretty much.
You'll get
YouTube and Sorare.
Hendo Soprano here with his slick haircut showing me off here. The guy who won the Mbappe on Sorare sold it at peak, still dining off it, aren't you? Still are.
Pretty much, mate. Yeah, I think most of my luxuries in life now outside of that have just been fed off the back of that. But no, it's nice. It's nice to see the current collection going in the right direction again, which is nice, and a little bit of SO5 form being found already, which is good heading into the peak months. I'm sure you're all looking forward to it as much as I am.
Definitely. You've done really well, actually. A couple of really good. I think one of them was like a tier 2 rare or something, and you get a really good reward. It's Cezinha you won that.
Aye.
Yeah, I've still got Reynoso sitting there, but he's got your boys Nashville away, so I don't know whether to sell him or get a little bit of utility. I think it's just his scores pushed his Sorare data rating up a little bit, so he's a double A fixture. But I think it's more the fact that he's had 300s in his last 5, so that could be why.
He's been mad. Like, I remember he was like, the rare was going for about 30 quid or something again, because he wasn't playing, he hadn't joined the team, and then all of a sudden he came back and it's like he's back, and then he just went like 80, 100, 100. Like, he just come back and absolutely been firing, pardon the pun, because that's what he's up for, isn't it? Some sort of firing offence or something. Is it? I don't know. What's it hanging over him? Is it a prison sentence somewhere, or?
It was something like that. As you said that, I was actually just having a look, because you'll remember I used to have the super rare well back in the day. But I actually sold it for like the 4th highest price that's sitting there, so I sold it for just shy of £2,000. There was a couple that were slightly higher. The highest was 2,300, and he went as low as 378 quid before now bouncing back up to just shy of 1,600, bought by PSU fans. So that was very recently.
That's mad, isn't it? It's been a quick rise.
Indeed.
The power of scores. The power of scores.
They're mad, aren't they? I might actually bring them up on the screen just to see, because that's quite interesting to see. 2 seconds, find them.
It kind of got me just thinking there as well about Messi, about like his price. Just having a look.
An ETH for a rare, I think he is now, last I seen.
So he's actually, he's
every shot on
higher.
target's a goal, man.
I'm going to share the screen so we can see Reynoso, right? Now that I'm all techie and that, and I've got a channel. Look at scores, and look at his last 15. So all those DMPs, big, well, it didn't just come back to 100. just been greens, but look at those last scores. That's totally bonkers, isn't it? Like,
they've got Pookie up front now as well.
Aye,
a little bit more firepower,
just a wee bit. But I mean, obviously he's done 300s and 4s. Like, that's pretty rare and so rare, isn't it? Like, you don't see many guys doing like those clusters of big hundreds and stuff like.
That isn't called Lionel Messi, of course.
Yeah.
191, 100 is his last 3.
Let's see the GOAT, because I'm expecting another one coming up at the weekend as well.
He can somehow beat that L5. He's got an L5 in 91.
It's mad, isn't it? And you kind of thought, if like with him going to the MLS, that was always a possibility. And like, see the last 15. Yeah. 100. It kind of reminiscent of what he used to do when he was at Barcelona. Like, see if you look at his all. He's the far back. I mean, look at, like, if you go way back to the previous game weeks, like, you just get the most mental amount of hundreds that you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. Take somebody's eye out with those hundreds, man. It's just like, what the hell is
that? 91 goals, 54 assists over the last, 300 game weeks.
That's insane.
It's mental. You're not do a season where he scored like 91 goals in a calendar year or something for Barcelona though. So that is complete and utter madness. But What did they do for the 28? Let's score a hat trick and get sent off or something. Like, it's mad.
There's some forwards that will do well to get like 91 goals across a league career, and he goes and does it in a calendar year. It's just, I don't think you'll see the likes of that again, but it's just nice to see that he's still on top of his game now, and it kind of goes to show you the power of like Sorare's kind of longevity. You know, he's went to that league and he's actually somehow better, and you can play him in Globe or All-Star and play him up against any card in any division really, through that one division. So it's pretty cool to see. I guess slightly inflates his value, of course, and there'll be a point where he's not worth anything. But if there's ever a card that you'd want to kind of keep on as a collector piece or whatever, then I think he's definitely a good place to start.
This is something I was thinking about when I seen Messi was in ETH. I was talking about it with somebody, I forget where, but what do you think is a better NFT, a better Sorare card? Messi PSG or Messi Miami?
Miami, I would say.
I think so as well. What about you, Hendo?
Yeah, Miami. I mean, the American audience is more tuned into that collecting side, so I would think so. I thought you were going to mention back to conversations we had well back in the day, Quinny, about talking about getting Ronaldo, if you remember that. There was many discussions you had about picking up a Ronaldo. I'm sure you're probably glad that you didn't.
By the way, I was looking at it like a week ago or something. I still wouldn't rule it out because I know Sorare ruled it out for this season, but you know, that's all it's ruled out for at this point, let's be honest. So like, I don't know. I think the Saudi play is already a little bit of a 12-month injury play. You know, if you can just pretend your guy's had a ACL that you know he's going to recover from.
Don't mention ACL. Don't mention it.
But he's going to recover successfully. That's what I'm saying. But just
That's
imagine
us.
these ones
So
you know
thanks very
don't
much.
recover.
That's the end of the podcast, guys. Well, I'm away to get a Guinness.
So I was looking at him again recently. I'm looking at him now. 0.3 for a rare Ronaldo. I don't think it's too shabby.
Has he been selling for that though? I think there's a few selling a bit.
Selling for about half. Half that, 0.15 roughly.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, when you examine it on it. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind a wee cheeky Ronaldo. I would want the one but with the half white and black kit, but I think he got top goal scorer that year and they won the league. So I'd rather that one, just personally. But yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, by the way. I'm keeping a hold of my Jota for the same kind of reason. And it's just like it'll probably come Monday, you know. I held Pity Martinez for 3 bloody years before that came good. So I wouldn't rule it out, man. Some of the stuff, but yeah, no, I'm definitely glad I never picked him up because it'd have been a waste of money because he's just not been good anyway recently, even before the move to Saudi.
The ACL coming up though, and they came second, didn't they, or something? I think they're in the qualifying rounds, so that they came third, so something like that. But they weren't straight in, but I think they've got quite a good chance of actually qualifying for it. And then I think the good thing with that is it runs kind of similar time to the actual Champions League as well. I don't know if it's in the same game weeks, but if it does run similar to that, then you're going to have some game weeks where, all right, it's going to be Champions League, it's going to be quite hard, but then you'll have some weeks where big teams are playing away from home or whatever, and all of a sudden you slot in like, you know, a Ronaldo or a Jota or a Benzema or something like that, like playing against probably much inferior opposition to what like the Champions League guys are playing against. The midweek rewards are actually not bad as well. I think it's not going full dynamic. Like I'm finding the midweeks, even over the summer and stuff, like the under 23s and everything, the rewards have been pretty reasonable considering like how many players are available and stuff. So definitely worth thinking about, especially with it coming up probably September-ish, probably next month. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how quick they can get leagues on this year. That played a big part into it last year. If you remember, it was somewhere around the 8 to 12 week mark, if I remember, to get most of the major leagues on, which is fine. But again, if it's on the end of that 12 week mark, 3 months into the season, it's quite far along considering a lot of places then go for a break. So when you're actually coming back to like firing properly, it's basically after Christmas by the time you started, and we're only on the 10th of August. So, you know, if you start to like I've done, get a little bit of momentum going now, you want to carry that on as much as possible. So you kind of want the rewards to fall in line. So you'd love to see those, you know, those big leagues at least. If you could get it in the first 4 weeks, then fantastic. But again, I appreciate it's out of their hands. It's just hopefully can nudge them on a little bit to get them on early. That would be good.
I think obviously there's it's what 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks away for the season bonuses going. One thing I noticed the other day, I had a look at the champ pool, the rare pool and the pro, and it looks as if they've kind of restocked it a wee bit. So the top end of it is like quite a few Haaland and like Kimmich and all that type of stuff. So I've kind of said my piece on what's happening with fitness and all that type of stuff. But like, I mean, the rewards I think are still pretty good. And obviously, there's no PSG just now. The license is off, so there's not even any PSG on there. But then they're falling apart. So it's like everybody's leaving. So like, I think Sorare's one to watch here because Messi's left. Neymar's apparently going to the MLS or Saudi or somewhere, or anybody that can afford them. And obviously, you've got the Mbappe thing. So maybe not quite as important, but obviously, the whole thing has been sold on the dream of I want to win an Mbappe or whatever for years, really, isn't it? Like, so I
Well,
obviously
from
back, but
my point of view, I'm glad that we don't need to worry about PSG romping anyone 7-0 this weekend. Like, they might still win, but see without Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, you're no thinking, oh Jesus, they could still win 2 or 3-0 or something. I don't even think their games that one-sided. I think it's Lorient who, did pretty well last year.
yeah.
So I'm actually quite buzzing that there's no Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe running around in France at the moment. Makes it a wee bit easier. But I know what you mean, like that is the pinnacle card, isn't it? But something else just sort of replaces it, I guess, won't it? Like a Bellingham, Real Madrid maybe, or
Yeah.
Haaland perhaps. Seen Hendo's also been out in the market. He's picked himself up a wee KDB. Maybe he's a wee bit old to be that guy, but there's always guys, isn't there?
Goes well, what then?
He's one of these guys as well. It goes against like almost all fibre of my being for the simple fact that we had a bit of a debate going on. And I feel like I'm definitely falling on the wrong side of it now, which is fine. But it was prior to the Champions League and the treble. And I said that KDB wouldn't go down as an all-time great, not because he's not a world-class player, but simply because I feel like to go down as like an all-time great, there's more to it. There's either like a reason or like a connection with fans, or you've defined an era of football. I feel like he's defined an era of football that won't go down as an all-time great era of football, if that makes sense. Even people who have had much less careers, or even like somebody that shined really brightly like Ronaldinho, something of that ilk, there's no doubt he's an all-time great because he changed the way that people felt about football or played football. I don't think KDB's done that. He's very much the poster child for this robotic era of stats monsters, if that makes sense. However, it doesn't really bother us. He can keep scoring goals and getting assists for SO5. I couldn't care less because now I've got him. So I hope that he does. And now that he's won the treble and he's been quite a big piece of that, I'm starting to eat my words slightly. But before that had happened, I said we can't talk about hypotheticals. We can only talk about what's happened up to now. He's won all these Premier Leagues. He hasn't won anything at international level, despite Belgium having this golden generation. And he hadn't won anything at the top level of Man City. And now he has. So unfortunately, it looks like I've lost that one. But
somebody's trying to cut their grass, so I'm going to go and cut that shit a little.
I feel like people misconstrued though in terms of me saying, I acknowledge at the start he's a world class player. There's no doubt about that. I just think there's more to that than just being world class to be an all time great. But I guess we'll see when he retires and the dust settles.
Because there's a lot more money on the table now, as well, and we're promised a lot of other stuff that's going to make your balls tingle and all that, But let's we're still kind of yet to see it. So I think maybe a wee bit nicely timed that maybe the diamond card is it, or the top piece is maybe a wee bit like stained at the moment or whatever, soiled.
I think, well, just speaking like sort of personally, and again, I'll not sidetrack too much, but you both know me more for like under 23s, I guess, than anything else. But when I looked at the makeup of that, it's now starting to get to a point. We always talk about cards sort of ripening. That's one of like the Quinny buzzword that has always kind of came all the way through. The point being, it's more like these players are now starting to get moves, and I'd always focused on getting these players who didn't matter if they were in U23 or champ, they were able to compete either way. And people like Gavardio moving on to Man City now, getting a KDB into match with him, getting a couple of Parejos in just to bolster up because he's a pretty solid mid that plays like sort of midweek and all that kind of stuff. And then having somebody like Jonathan David who hasn't made the move yet. If he does stay at Lille, is it that bad an issue? He's probably still going to score 20 goals or whatever. So a lot of these pieces I've then looked and said, right, what can you actually win in U23 this year? Nowhere near as much as what you could last year because of the aging out, or nowhere near as much of what you'd want to win, i.e. Mbappe is kind of the main one. So I feel like the natural shift was over to champ, and it just so happens, like you just said, Quinny, they've sort of bolstered that as now the Premier Division, if that makes sense. But it probably should be. It makes sense for it to do that. What's your views around them doing that? To either of you?
I thought it was a good move, to be honest. Like, I think like I looked at this weekend, right? So under All Star Rare Pro, you come top 30, you get $200 or equivalent fiat or whatever. If you come third in Challenger Europe Rare Pro, you get like $275 for coming third, plus obviously the tier ones and the stars and everything. So I think even though they've adjusted it, people were sort of talking about the like bringing the All Stars and everything, but the All Star's still really good. And then you look at the top end of the All Star rewards, a lot of the guys who are top of all the other divisions are all right up at the top of the All Star as well. But it kind of makes more sense too, because you had this thing where it was almost better to have like Wanitsek or Jan Nicholas Bestie or have a Ward Prowse or a Dewsbury Hall or whatever in the second division than it was to have somebody who scored exactly the same in a bigger division, which was actually pretty hard to do because it's harder standard. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And also, I like the kind of ongoing competitions, like these short and long format things. That's kind of right up my street because I play every week. But I think that directs people towards, instead of coming in and playing as a one off, it's about collecting and playing and competing over time. And that's been the whole kind of message. It's like, list or play. You kind of buy somebody on a Friday and sell them on a Friday, and the whole sort of ethos behind it and stuff. So I'm quite excited about it all. What do you think, Quinny?
Yeah, it's funny because like it's similar to what Hendo was saying as well. Like I felt a little bit with some of the way my gallery had been moving around that. Oh, I'll probably get. And you were in the studio. You seen the whiteboard before that announcement even came out. I was like, oh, I'm probably going to get a good bit. I'm probably going to play quite a lot of Champ Euro this year. I think because some of the cards I've got and whatever. So it's nice that there's more there. And I'd never thought about that whole, what it offers in terms of differentiating from the Wanizek, making a difference between a Kimmich and a Wanizek. Now, there's actually like a monetary difference. Like I was looking at it there as well, just as you were talking. And like in Champion Euro Rare Pro, so like D3 Champ Euro, money places go back to 15 for 50 quid, which is a rare threshold in essence. That's for 5 places. Top 10 get $100, and then it's like $278 plus on the podium. And that's without, all a Champion Euro. What do we have? 3 out of the 5 are back this weekend. So maybe it goes up more when we get all 5. Let's kind of see. But I think that's quality, and it's a great way of solving that problem that I never even realised that's probably going to be a knock-on effect of.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like when they brought on the second division stuff, and obviously not just second division, right? You had a point where you had like Mbappe and stuff, and these elite scorers, and even bringing on like Celtic or bringing on Zagreb and things like that's kind of bringing in guys in other leagues that score really high and stuff. But then again, the second division stuff, they brought on like a couple of sort of leagues at the same time and reasonable amount of clubs, and then you had the EPL coming in, and you do have some elite scorers in the EPL. Obviously, you've got Haaland coming back, Bruno Fernandes, KDB and stuff, so a lot of elite scorers, but then loads of choice too, throwing in loads of guys that average 50 and stuff like that. So just been a kind of supply and demand thing. I think the actual shape of things is probably as good as it's been. We just kind of need, where the fiat wallets come and stuff, like actually people to engage and like spend and stuff like that. Like I know that's kind of always the way it is, but like if you keep chucking out the amount of cards we're actually minting every week, like 5,000-6,000 limited and 2,000 rares or whatever, you need a reason for somebody to buy them type thing. So and then it'll get harder as well. Like paying out fixed places, I think is a really sensible route, because if it gets to the point where people are really struggling, there's a tipping point there where people are saying it's not worth us because they can't really win anything, then you can extend those places a wee bit as well. So it's kind of put the footprint in place for saying, well, we might get to a point, probably not yet, but maybe with rares actually, because rares get quite like minted to like as many as you can actually get out as opposed to limited at the moment. And like
Yeah.
like, what else can we do? But that comes in experiences and soul coins and a wee bit of fiat or F or whatever. So it's a good move, and I think more to come as well. Like to see Nicholas mentioned like an updated mobile app, like Sorare 2.0 he described it as, so like mobile app and all that type of stuff. So it'll be quite exciting to see what they do with stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I seen Zara tweeted as well that he went and bought himself a new phone to get the app because he had an old crappy phone or something. I don't know if he was just trying to, be a bit dramatic about it or something. But yeah, they're definitely bumming it up. And I think the mobile stuff is definitely going to be like, I'm on my phone a lot with Sorare. You guys probably are as well, right? But if I'm actually on Sorare, I'm sending offers probably or double checking maybe somebody's gallery. Let's get somebody listed. Can I maybe make a trade happen? But otherwise, it's all on Sorare Data's app. Doing lineup builder, checking my scores. I even like all the wee gallery features they've got on the app. I think it's all quite slick, So any efforts that they can make to do all that stuff, like I think it'll be mad good for the game. For maybe getting all sorts of other stuff that we'll need to be paying attention to, like training centres and stadiums and all that caper. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that's quite mobile centric, like it's like mainly done through, or it's really easy to do on the phone. And it's maybe something you just get in the habit of doing, like when you're dropping the kids off at the pool, as we say,
I think the other thing as well is like somebody sent me an offer earlier, right? And by the time I opened it up, it was like 5 or 6 minute lapse. Like I got the email and the guy cancelled it. So like even if you like even getting a push notification in the app, offers in,
Yeah.
you go and you answer it, you deal with it. I know obviously there's complications around that as well because it's the app through Apple, but if they can find a solution to that where you can actually trade cards on the app as well, that'll be huge because think back to previous like things I've used and stuff like that as well, and you could always log in online for those as well. I don't mention the names of them, but I always preferred using the actual app. I'll mention a less popular one like Footstock, but Footstock had quite a good app. It was quite good to use and stuff like that. And I'd never ever logged in online. I just get used to using the app. As for the Sorare data, they've got a different function, right? So like because Sorare's not there to give you all those data things surrounding all the players. They're there to let you select your lineups and do your training centre and sell guys to you and stuff. So they always perform different functions. But the Sorare data app, I mean, I don't really log in very much online now that I've actually got the app because the app can do pretty much everything that you can do online now. Not everything, but it's nearly there. You can even lineup build and everything on it now, which is great. On these scores.
Yeah, they done a bit of trialing a little while ago, and they were asking like why would you use Sorare data over the Sorare app? It's just a lot slicker. They've always notoriously been a little bit slow, Sorare, in terms of tech wise anyway. So hopefully we can see a bit of a change at some point. But that's why they're doing research, of course, to try and get better, which is always nice. Means they're looking in the right direction at least.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, this might be slightly off the beaten track, but I was just kind of going through and looking on the collection side of stuff. Just wanted to ask if he's added anything collection-wise, or looking to add any pieces. I know that you had a bit of an offer rejected earlier, Quinny, but we'll not say about that. But yeah, any other pieces you've been trying to add to collections at all?
Yeah, I managed to jersey swap earlier on Manu Sanchez to get me an Atletico Madrid top. Paid like £6 to do that. It's just I was kind of bored between this and our stuff I was recording earlier. I was just messing around and I just had to like change in my wallet and there's one listed. And anyway, I did that. But I picked up a Savio recently. That's not really totally collection bonus driven. It's just a kind of like, I think Girona could be quite handy this year. But the funny thing is I also picked up a Richie Ledesma in a PSV kit because he went to New York. So they actually kind of bump into each other in a wee funny way. So I don't know if you would count that. But listen to this, by the way. I don't know if you know this. I put a tweet out. So you maybe seen the main tweet, but it was in like one of the kind of sub tweets or the thread or whatever. But Joshie Forth won a Yangel Herrera Girona kit. And I messaged him until I do a shirt swap and hoping he would be a mate and like not charge me for it kind of thing. Just like, oh, hey, mate, like fancy swapping us like cards. And he messaged me back saying you can just have mine on the condition that you give away your one to the good people and all that. So as soon as I got that in, I went straight away and I was like, I've been eyeing up a Santi Bueno. You guys have probably seen it. I've been mentioning that before in the live chat over last season. Tried to get him a few times. And so I went and got him in. And that little Girona Super Rare collection now isn't too far away from 3%. I'm like one card away. And it's got some decent pieces in it for this season. So that's the main thing, I think. I did all the Celtic shirt swaps right at the end of the season. You helped me out a lot, Hendo, selling me Abada, and you shirt swapped me on Jota as well. I think maybe Maida as well, or just Jota and Abada.
Just
I can't
Jota.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I done all that quite early to try and get those 90 days in pronto. And the rest of them I'm just kind of messing about with, just loose pieces. What about you,
Yeah.
guys?
I mean, Abada's basically doubled in price, so you've done pretty well there. But again, he was probably more likely to leave than Jota at the time that we'd done that trade. So it doesn't bother me. It wasn't in my plans regardless. I've not done anything like deliberately, but I've kind of fell into a couple of pieces. So obviously I was saying to you earlier, there's a few that I need to like swap seasons wise. So say for example, I brought in Kobel to go with Schlotterbeck, but they're opposite seasons. One's 2021 or whatever. I don't even know these seasons that they come through. And again, like some of the cards clashing at each other, like KDB and Gavardio. Well, it's a Leipzig card, and KDB is actually the Belgian card, which is pretty cool. So they don't match up collection wise, but it's not it's not the end of the world. I brought in Danilo for obviously playing for Rangers, bit of a boo, I guess. But again, it gives a wee bit extra to Cockchew because they're both from the same year at Feyenoord, which is nice. I brought in Nacho, and I'm looking to bring in Modric as well, just to boost my Vinny Junior up to 1%. Nothing special about them; they're cheap cards, but I think Nacho extended his contract and got made club captain at Real, and Modric obviously extended for another year as well. So they'll be used sparingly, but I think it'll be obvious when they do get used, and they might just be nice pieces to chuck in capped because they won't be playing a lot, so they'll have very low cap cost. And then finally, this is another interesting because obviously bringing in Parejo, same season that Philip Jorgensen is in, so he's actually, because he's first owner and bought off auction, it actually boosts him up to he's got that extra 1% on him Parejo. So that's the pieces that I put together. None of these were deliberate. But it's nice to kind of fall into it. It's nice just to have them there.
Yeah,
that's a nice one.
No, that's good. I had the I think the Celtic stuff was kind of completed. Although I said this in one of the previous videos as well. Like I've not really went for collecting or completing the whole rare collection. Like I think the thing with collections is that people go a wee bit bonkers for it, but there becomes a point where if you're spending money on cards and you're not actually going to use them, that you'd be better just to try to win something with the other cards that you've got. Like if they're obviously quite cost effective, then that's fine. You get to the rare and the super rare level, what is the point of buying another 6 Celtic cards and spending 500 or 600 quid on them if you're not actually going to use them for anything? So obviously, if it gets you an extra percent, then that will make a difference. And if you're getting the collection bonuses coming into the caps and everything as well, so that will be so ironed out. I mean, I had Allison and Salah, and they were different seasons from like Trent, so I'd sort of done some deals to swap them. And one of the guys actually needed the same season that I had, and I needed the season that he had, and he just swapped me over type thing, which was good and didn't actually cost me anything. So all my Liverpool rare cards now are all the very first season they came on, so there's a couple of percent bonus on there, plus they're not going to lose the season bonus in September as well, which is quite good. And then I picked up young guy Elion Neto. He's just signed with Salzburg, and then he's going out on loan. But again, I got him. It was only like 70 quid or something, but I got it because it was a rookie card, and I know he's not going to be minted soon. So, like when you buy the rookie card first owner, then you automatically get an extra percent because you're the first owner and it's special edition card. So, quite like that because it gives you kind of reason to buy from auction, but also gives you a reason to buy a young rookie or whatever, and you can kind of sit on it knowing that when the guy's going to play, you're going to have a good bonus and stuff as well. So nothing too dramatic, but I sold Oblak as well, and the game week later, Courtois got himself done his ACL, so I wouldn't have sold that obviously if I'd done on. So, but anyway, that's what it is. Kind of control stuff like that. So said earlier, chin up, go on with it. Just keep going, try and win some stuff back and see how he gets on or whatever. But they've been really unlucky. And Guler done his knee as well. He's having to have knee injury too, and then Courtois as well. So that'll be pretty devastating for them, I would have thought.
Aye, I felt so bad for you when that news came out, man, because you just sold Oblak last week as well, didn't you?
Aye, literally just sold them last week, and I've not used Courtois yet. Like I won him in the last SO5 of last season, and he's not come back. So all I've been doing is training him up all summer and get him into the first lineup, and then somebody sent it. It was actually Josh. He messaged, he'd seen it, and he sent me it. But I mean, the only good thing is super rare, and like one guy's listed like 300 quid less than the current option or whatever. But super rare owners don't really panic. So like you see in the limited, like they just collapse in price and stuff. And what will happen is they'll just not get sold or whatever. You just have to wait like 7-8 months until he comes back, and then his price will recover, and hopefully he recovers and stuff as well. But he's only 31 or 32.
31 years.
Aye. So it's a huge blow, because he was the type of guy I was thinking that card's going to really produce results this season, you know. So that's the big loss. It's not the value in the card, it's how much he maybe could have won in the next 5 or 6 months type thing. But I'll find a way. I'll try. I'll never stop trying.
Still got big Ali, big Allison.
Aye. Yeah. I mean, that was, well, it was proven to be the right one. I mean, Greg Taylor's done really well, obviously, in the first game, but Starfelt's off-ski. So, like I've been waking up and seeing that off every flow state, and thought, just hope he's not cancelled. Just hope he's not cancelled. But it's kind of gives you a chance to look at stuff and say, well, is there something else that fits in and stuff as well, you know? Because even I didn't know anything about the champion stuff at that point, but having Allison and Robbo unique, I mean, that's something you could put into champion super rare or whatever as well, you know, and the rewards up there are going to be really good now, given the rebalance and things. So it'll be interesting to see how it all sort of plays out and who plays their big cards where. And champ, we've been used to playing against Neymar and Messi and Mbappe in champ. I mean, you could be playing against none of them this season, which is completely bonkers, but might just actually open up a wee bit and make it a bit more fun or whatever, you know. Looks like Kane's not actually decided if he's going to Bayern or not, and people are arguing, like Michael Owen, that it wouldn't be a good move to go to Bayern Munich. But I mean, I'd rather he stays probably at Spurs from an SO5 point of view, because you know what Bayern are like. If they go on some sort of run and they've got Kim Min-jae and Kane and Kimmich and stuff, they could be offensive this season. From a not offensive in terms of attacking wise, offensive as in offending everybody else that don't own them. So, but what do you guys think? Is there any sort of teams you like SO5 wise you've got your eyes on? Obviously, we're all reasonably Celtic focused, but is there anybody you kind of looking at and thinking, I think they'll be really good from an SO5 point of view this year?
I've got a full Atletico Madrid team in Champ Pro this week.
It's interesting.
At home to Granada. I brought back in Llorente. I know you said I shouldn't do it, McBride, but I panic sold him. For anyone who doesn't know, I panic sold him when the Saudi rumours came, and then I've bought him back, spent a few quid on the bad experience and just chalk it up to being reckless. But I brought him back in. I think he'll play at the weekend. And so I think Atleti might be onto something. I seen news today that from like the sources around, because Atleti are quite well followed on social media, Depay's on penalties. We know how much of a monster Griezmann's been. And then there's some other just good players around the squad and all that. I think they could have a really good season. With Soyuncu and Azpilicueta in the defence, like, could be a good time for Atleti this year, you know. I'm buzzing for it.
You're saying I shouldn't have sold Oblak, kind of?
Yeah, kind of, mate. Kind of, mate. Sorry.
I'll throw one in before Hendo talks. But I watched PSV the other night, and PSV were awesome. Honestly, they were really good. They were describing it as bosh ball and all that sort of stuff, but Noah Lang was outrageous. Like, he was unplayable. De Jong was on form. They looked really good. The young guy in midfield as well, Sybarius. I can't remember who it was. Sangari played well, but like they've got Boscagli and Ramulio at the back, and Boscagli strolled it as well. So I think actually remember those days where you used to be under 23 there pro, and somebody would be turning up with a Sangari or a Boscagli super rare, and they would just be banging in hundreds and stuff like that. But I think obviously usual suspects like Benfica and stuff, but I think PSV will be excellent this year. Looks really good. What about you, Hendo?
Malik Tillman's new team.
That's right, eh? And playing against Rangers.
Yeah. I think a few. I've got my eyes on a few. I think Arsenal will be really good. They've got a good base to go on. Timber looks really good in pre-season, looks excellent. And to have him and Saliba just kind of falling into that accidental stack is really nice. Obviously, they've got now goalkeeper issues. I'm really glad I didn't buy Ramsdale, because he was my initial thought. I was going to go and get Ramsdale because he's nailed to be number one. Then they go and get David Raya on a really nice deal. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Definitely, I would say, obviously, we're all kind of semi-exposed to Celtic issues more than me. I've kind of moved away from it a little bit, but I've kept the key pieces. But I think they're going to be a more of a challenger team for me. And then the good thing with Celtic is, especially people like Kyogo's got patchy form, and some of the defence have high averages, but you can get away with it with some of the other ones. They're actually quite good cap picks. Ralston obviously is very obvious when he'll play and when he won't. That makes him a really good cap pick, because when he does play, he's usually a 60 plus kind of player, but his cap's usually around about the 37, 38 mark. Other teams have got exposure to Hearts, quite a lot of exposure to Hearts. I'm not sure how much longer they'll have Europe for, because they're struggling a little bit just now. So I've got them, and I swear there was one more team that I wanted to pick out.
It probably does Hearts a favour, but because last season they probably got ruined a wee bit on the European stuff, didn't they? Domestically, like Shanks was still scoring goals for you, but the full team weren't really pulling up trees. Like I had Snodgrass win me some cards for a wee bit, but they weren't like we thought Hearts would be proper good last year, eh?
Yeah, the problem was it was just like injury based, wasn't it? They were just like Kingsley got injured a lot. They had a lot of change in the team. They had quite a lot of like squad members that were just in and out based on injury. So that was one of the things. And one that I'll definitely be keeping an eye on, because I've now fell into a really nice position, is Benfica with Trubin and Kokchu. It's a really nice position to have. I'm pretty convinced that Trubin will come in and be the starter, and Kokchu is obviously going to be the anchor of the team. So it's really nice there. I really want to keep an eye on just like who they bring and who they don't, because I'm very aware that Casper Tengsted's at a really nice price. I don't know if he'll actually break out this year. It's one that obviously had a load of hype behind him. So again, I'm just kind of monitoring him to see.
That's a great shout, by the way. You see with Ramos leaving now.
I know he's not. Tengsted's not played in the games since, though. Is the only thing. I just feel like as the season matures, he's somebody that I've firmly got my eye on. I'm just looking at it now.
Boy from Fiorentina, so they've kind of replaced Ramos, but it's not really a guy.
Of course, yeah, Cabral.
I don't know how good he actually is, because didn't really seem to have done stuff at much at Fiorentina. So
he's good, by the way. He is good. He's a proper striker, but he's probably not like top level. Like if you look at his history, he scored goals for fun at like Basel or something like that. You know what I mean? So he'll go to Benfica and he'll rip it, man.
Aye. Benfica is definitely an interesting one. I think if you were talking about Arsenal and stuff, the problem with Arsenal last season and stuff, like you didn't really have like a good sort of midfielder or whatever to pick. So obviously having Rice in there, like he's a guy who is pretty reliable in terms of scores. And Liverpool, the reason I kind of quite fancy them as well is, again, you're picking a Liverpool stat, you want a midfielder from somewhere else, but now you've got like Szoboszlai and McAllister and guys like that in there, and you can actually envisage yourself putting out a full stack. And I bought Odysseus, and I'm not doubting that Trubin's going to play or anything. I just decided that if they don't get a goalkeeper in, I'd like to just kind of lock down the Benfica goalie, because I'm sick and tired watching Joe Hart being shite. Honestly, but his scores have been terrible, and he's actually yielded quite a lot. I looked at it. Like, cause obviously he's had clean sheets at some point, but his scores have been absolutely rotten in the last 15. So just thought maybe a good time to move away from that. And even if Celtic do, Hearts have scored 2-1.
Oh,
that's good. Yeah, I just thought I don't want to be completely exposed to the Celtic position, because all right, we could get somebody in, but we could buy somebody that's not covered and there's no cards for 2 months, or everybody could be in the same boat where they don't have a Celtic goalkeeper, depending on who we bring in or whatever, or if Joe Hart get injured, or do I even really want Scott Bain, or probably and rather just stack Benfica. I don't know, that type of stuff. But I'm sure he'll improve. But I'm just looking at this weekend, no confidence that he's going to do a score that would win you something in SO5 against Aberdeen. So I was just thinking, right, just diversify a wee bit there, and I've got Trubin. So if Odysseus doesn't play, then I've probably got the most valuable goalkeeper on the platform anyway. So I've just handcuff it a wee bit. There we go. He'll probably do his ACL tomorrow.
I think we're all buzzing for Trubin, eh?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those ones that I think you've got like the original card as well. I've got the season after that, and I spent a lot more than you did. It was 0.7 ETH I paid at the time, but you know, I don't know why I paid so much. I don't know if ETH was maybe cheap at the time or something, but it's an expensive buy. Yeah, it was punchy.
But the thing is, he'll be worth that if when he's playing at Benfica. He'll be worth that at least, because the thing we talked earlier about under 23s, there's no I think there's a couple of competitions I see has been a bit more open this year as well. They're not quite like you're looking at it and going, right, Joey Veerman's going to do loads of hundreds and, such and such going to do this. Obviously, Cox's going to continue that, but there's other people that have timed out as well that you've just been a complete pain in everybody's ass if you've not owned them for the last couple of years, even Mbappe timing out, right? So, like it is going to be a bit more open, still high scoring, but harder to dominate like regularly type thing. So if you have a good weekend, then you should hopefully get rewarded for it, that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic for under 23s with Trubin coming in as well. Like I fancy like both those divisions. I totally wrote them off for the last 2 seasons, champion and under 23, and just kind of the pieces of my gallery that just will not be sold. The ones that I'm definitely always keeping. Kind of the way I've been kind of rebuilding it. It just feels like optimal chances of winning like those divisions. If everyone else, and I know Champs had some money injected into it, so that might change a little bit, but. I think, I've actually got a bit of strength, and it feels like those divisions, like the field, is now weaker. So, like, I think it's definitely there's more of a puncher's chance in those divisions, maybe that was like locked up with the power plays of like the Pascagli Super with the Sangar Rare, or the Boscagli Rare with the Sangar Super for the top 10 spots, and given game weeks and those kind of examples that we've seen before, So, yeah, well, I think it's always good fun when there's more chances of winning for anybody.
What's your thoughts on this directive thing with the extra time and stuff? A bit of discussion in that. Just when you were talking about Girona and stuff there as well, like you look at like Real Madrid, like taking aside the injuries and stuff, they're carrying quite a big squad. So you could probably see like after Champions League games or whatever, if you've got like a weekend game, people are starting to get plenty of headaches in terms of who's actually going to start the games, and that's where maybe like your Girona or whatever comes in, because if you can put out 5 super rares and champ or whatever, and big teams rotate a couple of pieces, like you could definitely pick up some good results in that. And with adding on 9 or 10 minutes per game or whatever, then that's going to lead to probably more starting rotation, I would have thought, in between those big Champions League nights and stuff.
And more AA, more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a quick question. Why was the AZ game covered, but the others weren't?
I think it's to do with, so somebody said that there's some leagues that opt to pay for the qualifiers, and then what happens is some of the previous ones that were covered, the leagues don't pay for the qualifiers, but one team is playing against a team from another league who actually were paying for the qualifiers, and then there's also considerations around like actually are streams available in stadiums and quality of the cameras, because obviously for coverage level for So Rare you need like the proper cameras, because you've got final third passes and all that type of stuff.
The reason I'm asking is because obviously Rosenborg are playing Hearts, who are both SO5 covered teams.
Yeah.
And it was a Shanklin goal with a Kingsley assist. So we'd had them both probably in cap 240 super. Clark's not conceded 3.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why that's not covered, but
I think it's an Opta thing. I think actually Zerora replied to one of the posts and said they would try and resolve it for next year. And I think to me that kind of smacks of they're going to try and sort it out with Opta. So in other words, if the leagues are not paying for it or whatever, they either go to the leagues and say, well, you've got to pay for the qualifiers if your teams are involved, or So Rare weigh them in or whatever as part of the package. But yeah, I mean, bloody hell, 3-0 to Bruges already. My competition winner, Big D. So he's waiting on Hans Vanaken, right? He's got Vanaken as a captain. Vanaken's got a goal and an assist, so he's on 85 at half time.
nice.
He's sitting 8th in All Star Limited, which is pretty good.
I'd went down
Awesome.
a slightly different route of research, just looking at the Hibs game. They're playing Luzerne, and Max Mayer is the captain for Luzerne. He's only 27. I feel like he's been around. Yeah, I feel like he's been around forever. Like he was a proper wonder
Not
kid
got
back in.
he's not got a card, but has he?
I don't think so. He was at Fenerbahce though, so he might have a card, but I don't know.
Meyer?
Max Meyer.
I'm going to look it up just now. Was he not is that the guy that was at Dortmund or something at one point? Yeah, it was Crystal Palace.
No.
No.
Crystal Palace. He was at Schalke, Palace, Cologne, Fenerbahce, Midtjylland, and then Lugern. He's only 27. That's mad.
Is it a weird name like Maximilian Meyer?
No, just Max. Well, yeah, but on Sorare Day, I found the by just putting in Max. His scores are decent enough. Anyway, bit of a tangent.
Yeah, I was going to see if he's actually got cards on it.
Nah, he's not getting any
He
cards.
doesn't have cards, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, if Hearts only beat 2-1, that's a kind of winnable tie then, isn't it? Because if we get them back to Tynecastle, you could see them turning over Rosenborg at Tynecastle, eh? That's a tough place to go for Celtic and stuff like that. And Rosenborg have been pretty average recently. I mean, they're not like up the top of the league or anything. They're like kind of mid-table team in Norway now. So
Yeah, I guess so.
Hearts, who was it that got the really tough draw as well? So Hibs are playing. If Hibs did get
Hibs have Villa.
Yeah, they got Villa.
That's a no chance, isn't it? I can't remember
Yeah.
who Hearts' potential one was.
Hearts would have PAOK or I can't remember that. Hajduk Split. That's it. Correct.
God's sake. I've got Sugawara in the All-Star Rare Pro and said he'd scored. Now they've taken the goal off him. Given to somebody else. Maybe he'll get this.
I wanted to ask another question. It was just driven off the back of I was having a little look at like goalkeepers after we were talking about Trubin. Not a goalkeeper specifically, but is there a player who you think you might backdoor like into some sort of utility? The reason I ask, I was having a look at Hugo Lloris and what his situation was because obviously I picked one up a bit cheap. In the first article that says Mark Schwarzer doesn't think that the new signing Guillermo Vicario is actually good enough to play for Tottenham, and nobody wants to buy Lloris. So I've got a funny feeling because he's got a year in his contract. He might actually play somehow. I might backdoor myself into some Tottenham utility, which would be pretty nice under Ange, which would be, there'd be plenty of shots faced. But is there anybody who you think you might backdoor into a bit of utility later on, or might get a move still?
Goal guys or just in general?
What were you saying, Quinny?
Hennas, maybe. PSG, some people fancy him to get a spot. Apparently Donnarumma isn't Luis Enrique's cup of tea. And that's why he's brought him in. So I don't know how much I expect him to play, but I think he will play. And it'll be one of those ones maybe you'd see it coming. We've got PSG under 23 goalie action again.
From all the accounts, that Donnarumma's been poor since he moved. Not heard any good things really about him.
Yeah, he's not. Well, I mean, PSG were pretty rotten overall, right? But he'd a few good games, but I'd say he'd probably more clangers than he had good games. Like he's SO5 scoring and everything was pretty poor overall, Donnarumma. So it's an interesting one because if Tennis plays there, you'd imagine he'll be a good price as well, eh? Because under 23, still got a few years left. PSG are a pretty big club, all right. They've been struggling a bit, but you'd still expect them to be winning the league, really. They even won the league last season, even playing really, really poorly. I suppose it depends who goes out as well, because if Neymar does bugger off, like they're just losing all their best attacking players at the same time.
Ekitike's leaving as well. I think he's going to Everton, so they've got a full rebuild on the go. Icardi's obviously left. I don't know if he was still there.
Ekitike is going to Everton as well.
Yeah, he's been linked there.
Who else did they sign? I know they're after Nonto, but they signed somebody. Somebody else to sign.
Everton?
It's like an attacker. Yeah, they signed somebody. I thought, that's good. They won't get Nonto now. But somebody like him. Maybe Everton are going for it.
They need to. They were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate to be fair.
I don't see Ekitike coming in and making a huge difference because he's not particularly physical and he's playing under Sean Dyche. Like doesn't make any sense to me. But
yeah, he's been linked to a few. I think he's been linked to like loans as well. Like there's been a couple of different links with Ekitike, and I think it's that kind of rumor mill as well. Because the first reaction when you seen the Neymar stuff was this happens every year. Like you get these links.
Yeah.
every single year, but it does actually seem to be a bit more serious this time. I think there's actually some substance behind it, like based on the training stuff and everything. So, because again,
They
Neymar
brought in Dan.
and we've not used them yet. Just like big cards,
Yeah,
like, I've never actually been able to use them. But anyway,
they brought in Dan Juma, Quinny. That was one of the players they brought in.
Dan Juma. There we go. So Dan Juma, Nonto, Ekitike, front three, Calvert-Lewin. If he's still around, I don't know.
I think Calvert-Lewin
Yeah.
I can't remember seeing him going anywhere. So
Very injured though, and they sold Ellis Sims, so he's gone. Moise Keane's gone. Yeah, apart from that, Ashley Young they brought in 38-year-old Ashley
Yeah.
Young rather.
Rehab in
Makes
Dele
sense
Alli
again.
as well.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff about him, but I've not heard anything about. Oh, he's looked great in training or anything. I've still not heard about that.
it's been a
Definitely
bonkers
interesting to
summer,
watch.
isn't it? It's been totally bonkers. I just feel as if, like, I know maybe it's been because of all the Saudi money as well, because when they spend money and they put that into the EPL have been reinvesting that in other players as well. But I just feel as if it's been completely bonkers for moves out with Saudi as well. Suppose that's just the nature of when teams spend big and stuff. But like, could you really have envisaged? Remember, like the start of that season where Messi and Mbappe and Neymar were just bashing everybody up. That you would have come to the end of this start of this season, and you could be looking at a PSG lineup with none of them in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think Mbappe came out today and said he's staying. He's told the PSG hierarchy that he's staying, so
Yeah.
he'll be there. But no, you're right. And to be fair, like Touchwood, done pretty well avoiding Saudi for the most part. I know you haven't really marked, but you've got a bigger gallery. But pretty much just Jota that I've been stung with. I can't think of too many other like high profile ones.
Jack
And like
Hendry.
you said, Jack Hendry, but Scotland utility was all I've got him for anyway, so he'll
Yeah.
still be in the Scotland team.
Doing you a favour.
I'd rather he played in Saudi than was on Bruges bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there'll be eyes over there. There's 100% going to be people watching games out there. They'll have no choice but to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is seen a thing. ESPN or Fox Sports or something have actually like bought out the rights. So
The
obviously,
zone for us here in the UK.
Yeah, the zone. Yeah.
So it'll be on the TV somewhere, really, won't it? Like there'll be some sort of deal, and it'll be like, because when Ronaldo went there, and there was still a lot of stuff going on social media and stuff, and I was like, I'm not interested in that at all. Like, like I know Ronaldo's a bit, and I've always been a kind of more of a Messi guy, but I've always been interested in the Messi Ronaldo thing, and I've loved watching Ronaldo as well. But see, when I'm over there, I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm not interested in that stuff. But the problem is, there's so many the guys that went over there now, and like now I see Jota playing with Benzema or whatever. If that was on the TV, I'd be a bit intrigued about that. I think I would if there wasn't anything else on, like quality wise, then I'd probably fire that up. Especially if it was SO5, right? If it was like on at a time where like you've not got big Champions League game on or whatever, you'd be thinking, well, I'm going to watch that. Like, I've made my peace with Jota Dumpmas, that type of thing. But could be interesting. The rumour's just been wild. And that rumour of him being loaned back and stuff. I feel like they've just got so much money. Like it's just spend 25 million and talking about maybe loaning them out. Oh,
So they can buy somebody else. They've only got so many international slots or something.
That was the thing with the MLS. I think they said they're going to be 4 DPs next season. I seen a thing. So they're going to raise the overall cap in the before DPs. So obviously, like Miami could technically get somebody else in as well, even though they've got Messi. So I would be, but imagine Neymar went to Miami. That would just SO5 would just be wrecked. I would be wrecking it though, so that would suit me. Like SO5 would be that's bonkers. That's like guaranteeing yourself like 160 or 170 per game week or whatever out of two guys really in it. So
the thing with Messi, not Messi, but Neymar, and we might see this with Messi as time goes on because you can do this in MLS, but they might just take a month or two off here and there because in MLS you just need to qualify for the playoffs. As long as you qualify for the playoffs, then you're in it to win it, kind of thing. The rest of the season is just a wee bit of a song and a dance for the most part, So come in, get a bunch of goals, and then when is the parties, and then
Neymar
take a wee
would.
month off. Yeah.
Thing with Messi though is that like he's been given a share of the Apple TV deal, right? So him playing in the games is this kind of important because people are coming just to see him. The one thing
Getting
that
commission.
yeah, I was thinking, what's he going to do when the MLS finishes if he wants to be fit for the Copa America? Because Copa America is next year, right? And like, well, maybe going a wee short-term loan to Barcelona for 4 or 5 game weeks or whatever, or because MLS is going to finish, what is it, end of November or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then Copa America is after Christmas, so maybe he does something in the window or whatever. Just could be interesting. I think Messi will be okay, but Neymar, I mean, Neymar's never really. I knew the risk when I was buying him. Like, I think he's got a 50% start record or something at PSG in the last couple of seasons. So, but I mean, the last season, the injuries he got, some people just kicked him. It's not as if he's like doing his hammy like Dembele. Like, he just literally somebody just like stamped right on his ankle or whatever. Like, what can you do about that? Like, there's nothing really you can do about that. Just bonkers. But well, any specific teams you guys are looking forward to this weekend? You get in you really fancy from an SO5 point of view?
Mine's are topsy turvy, mate. Mine's are really weird, just because I'm missing, like, I'm basically having to fit things. It's almost like square pegs into round holes, if that makes sense. Because the actual pieces that are here, like, I want to go and play Champ, for example, but I don't have Dortmund back, so I can't. Don't have the option, and I'm not playing. I noticed that Kaminsky's went from Blackburn to Luton. That's obviously gives him utility, but Luton are just going to get smacked like most weeks. That's like a cap 220 keeper. That's where I see him. And then the one week you do keep a clean sheet, he'll score a 90 or something like that. You know what I mean? Because they'll be bombarded with shots. But aside for that, I've had to basically go into U23. But it's looking quite good in terms of, like, Hendo's starting to pick up a little bit of form. He's doing pretty well. He's quite solid. I think he's actually in the Austria setup as well, which is nice. And then Saliba,
cool.
Saliba and Timber are the back two. I might risk Zachariah. I think he should be okay. Sometimes you get these players that are linked with transfers and they don't, like, when it gets closer, when the deadline's passed, and then it's just he's left on the bench or whatever. It's happened last week.
Yeah.
And you look back on it and you go, that was silly because I've got other options. And then Vinicius is the captain up top. So, it's I think Arsenal have got Nottingham Forest, and
Yeah.
Dinamo have got Baltica Kaliningrad. So
Ball ticklers. Oh, the ball ticklers.
At home, and then Real Madrid have Bilbao. So I think that's a good lineup if everybody plays. But what about yourself?
There you go, Quinny.
My big team, I've got a problem, right? I've got one goalkeeper that will play, and he's playing Barca this week. So it's one of those ones where if he doesn't concede 3, I actually fancy him for a pretty healthy score. Like, as long as it's not that killer. And then the problem becomes, I've got one keeper, got 2 uniques, McGregor away to Aberdeen, Edward playing Sheffield, on to start, scored 2 goals out of 3 in pre-season. On paper, you think this has got to be one of the games you play the Edward. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. So I can play a team in All-Star and I play McGregor, or I can play Edward and I can play in Champion. And basically, the same kind of best team. I could also play it max cap 240. I could play a 240 team and it would max out with, like, ditching the uniques altogether and just formulating with the one goalkeeper, like the best 5 super revs I've got on fixtures fit in 240 bang on.
Yeah.
So that's my problem. That's why I've got a wee three-way weighing up of stuff. So that's the team I'm most excited about when I work out what it is.
Do you think, again, this is me posing the question to you before you do go through yours, Mark, because you'll have a lot more teams that you'll be excited about.
Long you go.
Is there any point in breaking up the Celtic boys? Because it's a tough fixture away to Aberdeen, and as well as just keeping them in. And to be honest, it's one of these teams. I've got Safanov in goal. They've got Orenburg away. Krasnodar are so hot and cold that could be a 90 pointer. It could literally be 10. So I'm just putting him in, and then I've got Taylor, Matt O'Reilly, McGregor, and Kyogo Super. So I've just got the one super rare. I think I'm just as well as running it. Challenger Rare Pro. See what happens, because they've got quite high. They're the 3 guys that have all got the high cap, so they're not going into cap modes anyway. There's nowhere else to fit them. I think it's fair just to put them all in there. Matt O'Reilly captain. He's been performing like a false super rare anyway. So yeah, I think that's another one I'm excited about, but maybe for a different reason.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I had to change my team, so I'm going to share my screen quickly, right?
Ooh.
Apologise in
Good.
advance. Right,
This is what we want.
yeah, so under 23's not really changed. I've put Turnbull in there. I just think he'll start again, actually, after getting the 2 goals. I sent you guys under 23 Rep Pro, so I really like that. Lawal and Saliba both got home games. Celtic boys kind of do it the
Yeah,
same.
he's frozen for me. Yeah, you're back now,
No.
Mark, but you
Yeah.
froze me.
All right. So under 23 Super Rare, Turnbull obviously was on pens. Same internet connections unstable maybe because I've done a share screen. 23 Rare Pro, Lawal at home, Saliba at home to Nottingham Forest, Matt O'Reilly. Main team, obviously, though, is the All Star unique when it comes up. This is the
Oh,
real quiz.
shit.
I know. So, Liverpool, tough game out away at Chelsea. Well, not a tough game, but it's not like a home SO5 game where you're expecting a lot. But
Robbo's on for an 80 in that game, mate.
I would take that. I would take
That's
that.
bold.
Mate, Chelsea are not gonna put a glove on Liverpool in the first game of the season. Like, I think Liverpool will run all over them.
Yeah, I think
that see the whole sorry to talk over you, mate, but see that whole Trent inverted fullback thing.
Yeah,
that mean like see if you look at Robbo's stats over the last 5, like possession loss has dropped off a cliff. By comparison, he's got better at AA, like in that left. The way they've moved on. I think honestly, as long as Liverpool deliver, I think that's. I think you've got a beast set up there, man. I think Chelsea are shite.
I think so too. But I think if they'll obviously get Jackson and stuff in, so if they actually start like performing a wee bit better going forward, I think Alisson could still keep him out, but that could be good for AA as well.
Yeah.
I can't. It's a funny weekend because I've got AO Tanaka and they're playing the cup, so I can't put in an unique. Jordan Larson unique. I don't want to put him in because they rested him between the Champions League qualifiers the last time, so I was putting in Cezinha, but it'll be kind of like one of the last chances to do that because that's one of the things that have closed down. You're only allowed one super rare in here after the September changes, so it was a good time to run that. So I like that one. Got some nice lineups and stuff out as well. Competition winners got some nice stuff. So all limited are all getting given away. So he's got like Man City stack with Messi and what's the other one? He's running an Arsenal stack as well. He was Arsenal stack with Kane. So obviously Arsenal won't be Nottingham Forest pretty good as well. And then the rest of my lineups are all down the bottom because I've had to change them so much. So All-Star Super Rare. I've just kind of gone full Celtic here. Like I just ended up falling into it. I actually had Courtois in here and then ended up sort of shifting it about. And then I've put the Larson unique in. I kind of just wanted to go just max out the entry requirements and stuff as well.
Larson is a Friday night game, by the way, if that helped, because that put me off playing them because they rotated them, like you said, between Europe, but their game was Tuesday, and then this is Friday, then they've got the second leg. Yeah. So I just thought he was too dodgy, but he might start, but I don't know. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's a Friday night game.
Yeah. It might or it might not, but I think it's just some kind of a wee bit more short options. And then this other one I really, really like. So I'm not going to go through all the lineups, but this just like
S5. That looks great. Yeah, it looks so good.
So that's kind of, and I think the All-Star Rep Pro was talking about it earlier, right, in terms of the prizes and stuff. So if you look at the overall prize pool in terms of what they're paying out here, you've got, for God's sake, clicking the wrong buttons. You're paying out down to tier 2 rare and $200 worth of Ethereum or whatever you're taking for the top 30. So it is a good competition still to target, even though they're actually making some rebalance changes and in the prize pools and stuff as well. If you look at the top of the prize pools, you've got still got Haaland, Kimmich, VJ, Bruno, Kane, Messi, and I think they've refilled some of these guys into Champion Europe as well. So if you have a look in there and you look at the stars, you've got Haaland, Kimmich, VJ, Fernandez. So fair play. I mean, obviously everybody's kind of has their words about the rewards and everything, and I say it a lot as well. But there's definitely plenty to play for, and obviously these guys been in here, that will make people target those divisions, and I think it should help. Just help values and everything as well. Because if you know that you've got a really good chance of winning in one of those top 5 guys, makes you more likely to want to buy a card to enter those divisions. So I think the moves they've made been really good for Champ Europe and in general. And somebody else said, well, obviously I take 20% away from All Star, but if all those champion guys all go up a bit and they're in the prize pool in All Star, that kind of negates it a wee bit as well, doesn't it? Because if you win, you come first or second, you want to win one of those guys.
Yep. You know it, man. Both of you guys know it. You've both been doing it over the last wee bit.
We're still trying.
Has it been a bit of a SO5 dry spell, Quinny, for a bit?
I'll be getting like 2nd and 5th and 4th and 10th and stuff like that often enough, you know. But no, I did finish 1st, and I got that Carlo Holsa, you know, and I got Ward Prowse or something like that. So, but no, just not like a big sweaty Robo Unique or a big Mbappe, you know. It's just missing those top shelf ones, you know. That's what I'm missing. But I think I'm maybe on the cards for it, man.
It's the little ones that add up, man. That's where you start to make the money, because once you start to hit a bit of momentum, like you say, that in the last 2 weeks, that's about a grand's worth of rewards that I've taken from a good chunk of it's from ETH as well. Cezinha was sold like straight away for just shy of 300 quid. So, you know, it's not like the ridiculous prices that you seen last summer, but it's good because there's still plenty of buoyancy. He was barely here even like a couple of hours. And I took Reynoso down. Unfortunately, I kind of got fucked a little bit because he's auctioned off a lot cheaper than where I had him. And I did get offered a swap with Bruno Guimaraes, so I maybe could have pushed for that plus a chunk of ETH. I maybe asked for too much ETH on top. Got a wee bit greedy, but I can always go back there after the game week. I've got him as a captain in All-Star Pro, which I might change to. I'm going to change to coach. I don't know why I've got him captain actually, but I just got a wee bit excited when I seen him.
Yeah,
all those hundreds. Don't blame you, man.
The MLS prices are funny as well. I actually don't think Messi's as high as they should be at the moment, but if you look across the MLS prices, like they're actually really reasonable in general. And I think we've hit that switch point where people have been looking at them or buying them over the summer, and you've had the new cards and the early sort of price from the new cards and everything. And now it's kind of like, no, I don't want to do that because I just want to play Europe. So we're in that transition period between MLS and Europe. Or even Argentina or Japan or whatever, you know, all different leagues. Because Cezinha's price was like pretty mad to me, but it's kind of just coming back in line with like Bruno Fernandes and stuff's like totally flying and things, but that's what you'd expect based on their scores. Like Kane, I mean, like maybe people are expecting he'll just take the Bayern thing, but he's totally flown as well. You know, his prices went up. I think he's nearly almost doubled from the end of last season. So
that's such a weird one because it's like his scores aren't going to get any better. It's just the fact you can now plug in with Bayern players. You know what I mean? That's the only reason, and that's worth double his value for some reason. I don't really subscribe to that.
His last 15's insane as well. But see, if you look at his scores, people really kind of buy into that end of season form, and he finished with like a big 100, and his last 15's all really nice scores. So I think when that's smacking people in the face, that really drives price up at this point of the season as well. I mean, if he stays, you still think he's going to do really well at Tottenham, you would have thought. I mean, I can't really see how his scores are going to drop under Ange. I mean, if anything, he's a more attacking manager than the guys had before. So
I think they're a dark horse for the league if they keep Kane, because they've not got any midweek football. You know what I mean? They're just going to go weekend to weekend playing Ange ball. And if you've got Kane up there who's going to score every chance he gets, like, who could stop them, really? Like, in theory, in paper, you know, that's the way I kind of think of it. This is a dark horse shout if they keep him.
I think it's the defence. I think the Spurs fans actually were worried about the defence before Ange came in. So, all right, they've bought Mickey van de Ven and stuff like that, but you're having to plug all these guys in together. And then if you look at fullbacks for Celtic, you had guys who were actually quite solid defensively, but they've got like Pedro Porro and Udogie and stuff, and it's like all out attack stuff. I don't think that will work away from home in the EPL. I think they'll score loads of goals, but I think they'll get murdered in a few games away from home if they play like that. But it'll be fun to watch. We have both teams to score bet.
Yeah, they'll be banked for that every week, won't they?
The problem he's got is, like, you see all these teams that have built something in the Prem, they've had time. Spurs have notorious not given enough time. And when you look at it, like, you see the clip, he's fucking raging at Højbjerg. Like, he's just not an Ange player because he's not dynamic enough. He can't get about the pitch. And the rumour is to Atletico Madrid, that's where he's apparently wanted by about 35, 40 mil they want for him. I think he'd go and replace him with like any number of players that fit that system better than he does. It's just those are wing backs, like out and out, and he's got them in the full back position. That would worry me a lot if they don't have somebody who's like dynamic and can drop in as like a defensive three when they're attacking. If they go, that's slightly better. But even at that, he didn't really play that under Celtic. He was maybe getting there with Iwata possibly, but he hadn't quite done it yet. And that was after a season and a half, 2 years basically. So I'm kind of worried in that respect. But tell you what, some of the football, like the clip that come out the other night against, like again, they're playing out of a press against Barcelona. It's ridiculous, some of the stuff they were coming out with, and it's bloody Ollie Skip doing it. I'm like, surely he's not going to turn Ollie Skip into a player. He's no fucking Jesus. Can't turn water into wine.
Yeah, I think Madison will be outrageous under him though, because like obviously he's played in like equivalent teams and done really well in the EPL and stuff, but like taking sets and stuff, and obviously it'd be good for him if Kane stayed, because a lot of the stuff he's going to put in, Kane's going to put in the back of the net. Really, you would have thought, wouldn't you? But
yeah,
the rumour is if he goes, they want Taremi, which is quite interesting. But I mean, he's a good player and he's prolific, but he's not Harry Kane. Harry Kane can play football. He can drop in. He can spray passes. He's versatile. He's rely on him to miss a penalty in the World Cup when you're Scotland. And
I don't think he's better than Richarlison either. Taremi, that is. I don't think he's any better than Richarlison.
No, it's interesting. Kind of just getting over Ange going as well though, so I probably will actually bring myself to watch a few games. I don't know. Like, I've got a few players there as well. So I've got Madison and I've got
Kulusevski,
Manor Solomon.
Yeah, I've got Kulusevski and I've got the striker card, which I'm quite excited about. It was between, I've just put together a Champ Bureau team on the simple fact that I've seen Philip Jorgensen, I think, is more likely to play than Pepe Reina, even though it's a bit of a coin flip. It's a bit throwaway anyway, because I've got KDB, who's possibly injured. He did play 45 minutes in the Charity Shield, but they've got Burnley, and it's a Friday night game. Like, it's the first game of the season. I don't know if he'll play. I swear KDB never plays at the start of the season. I don't know if I'm wrong there, but I swear he misses like the first 2 games every season and then plays most of the rest. And I've got Van Dijk, who's playing Chelsea. So again, they've got high caps, so they're never going in cap modes, and I don't have a strong all-star team necessarily that I can then put them into. So because I've got Reynoso and Kokchu in the All-Star Rare Pro, so there's no midfield slot for KDB, and the defenders where I've got the Ferro Super, so I can't actually fit them in. So that's the only place it makes sense. I've found a little Callum Wilson kicking about. Totally forgot about him. All the reason I'm putting in, he's getting tipped really like highly. They've got Villa, which is a tough game, but he's getting tipped a lot by like FPL people. So I don't know if it's just because he's got good opening fixtures in general, but he doesn't mind the goal, Wilson. He's good for a 60-pointer. Not much more.
Yeah. If you've got a chance though, you've got to enter teams. I mean, obviously, like if you can rack up the SO coins and stuff as well, if this fitness stuff comes out and you need to use some of your SO coins to replenish guys or whatever, like, I don't know. I hate all that stuff. I really don't like it. But anyway, I'll shut up now. But that could be important, just like actually trying to make like as competitive lineups as you can and just kind of build that up so that it's there if you really need it for something later on. If you get a really good lineup and somebody's maybe struggling a wee bit, if that's going down. Now, I would really do wish to bring out the details of that soon, because obviously I know there's loads changing and all that sort of stuff, but we're at the start of the season, people really need to know how to plan for this. What is the strategy? Do you want to have more cards so that you can rotate them, or should be focusing on other things? So, I've just been kind of going about my business I've been trying to get rid of volume of cards to actually get better quality in, which is, kind of easier said than done to look through. And I selected all my lineups. I thought they looked good. I looked at who's left and I was like, oh, if I sell anybody of value, then I'm taking out a lineup. But I suppose that's kind of saying the quality's a wee bit better as well. Well, I sold a Vanasek. I got like 380 quid for a Vanasek. I just thought he was really quite peaky, and it looks like he's got Feyenoord, which is a good move, but he might not hit those huge scores he was hitting in the qualifiers for Zagreb. But Feyenoord
moves off. He's staying.
Aye. So I took the money for him.
He's staying at Zagreb, but they made 4 bids and it's been rejected. But I was the same as you, Mark. Not in terms of like, Ken, there was a few sales I made and it was almost like consolidating them down into like one piece. So it's like, right, I sell X, Y, and Z, right? What's their actual ceiling? Right, they could double in price or something like that. Fine. Even like the Abada, like, yeah, he's doubled in price because of like circumstances, but Jota had to be sold. Abada had to have a good start to the season. And then this is just in a vacuum. He could then lose his place. I've seen James Forrest sneak onto the pitch somehow. That just seems like something that will happen under Brendan Rodgers out of sentiment. So what happens when he has a few 35s in a row and stuff, you know what I mean? So that was just something that 3 bits of circumstance came in. And yeah, it's cost me a bit of money. But in doing that, what have I then brought in? Like, there's a KDB here. There's pretty much rock solid. His next move, if anything, is going to be Saudi. And by that time, it'll be covered. So, again, if he goes to Saudi, he's going to end up being one of the best players on the platform by a mile. So that one's like rock solid. Van Dijk's the exact same. I think he's started to show a bit more of the form that he had, like pre-injury. He started to come back to prominence a little bit, and Liverpool should be stronger again. So yeah, little cards like that, consolidating like all these tertiary pieces into, gives you more focus, and at the same time, it then the other thing as well at the start of the season, if you're looking for sort of tips wise, if anyone was looking, play as solid lineups as you can, and your main ones. This is obviously good all year round, but when you've say for example you've not watched a lot of team in pre-season, or you're going off play sharper, where it's good, people get really angry about play sharper and stuff. It's like, it's just another guy the same as you who's done a bit of research and just put in his best opinion in. That's all it is. So again, just try and be like, right, he's played a lot of games pre-season. I'm gonna put him in. It's less of a risk, and then assess after a few games. We always used to do that. We always used to assess a month into the season or whatever. Right, where do we stand? Who's now more ripe than they were at the start of the season? Who's shockingly out the team? You just need more of that information.
You've got 3 weeks from today until the window actually shuts in terms of Europe. And I still think that's significant because I know that the Saudi window is open until the 20th of September, right? But you're not going to see a lot of big pieces where teams are going to just let them go if they can't replace them as well. So
yeah,
I think, like, actually, from that point of view, there'll be a bit of a resolution to a lot of the merry-go-round stuff with the goalkeepers and everything as well. And that's what I did earlier. I got rid of like 5 or 6 rares, guys worth like under £100 and bought Odysseus, and people might feel he's linked to Saudi and everything, but if he doesn't play, I've got like the most valuable goalkeeper on the platform sitting in the wings. So, and like they might not sign a goalkeeper, they might just say, right, we're going to bed in Trubin. They might give Odysseus most of the season or cups or, you know, whatever, that type of thing. I think Trubin will get the spot, but he's not going to play next weekend or anything, I don't think. So, so I've been trying to kind of do stuff like that as well. Quinny, you've been going quite, like, obviously Girona going kind of collection value type as well.
well, I've kind of so one of the things I was thinking coming into this year, like, see, looking at the club and the gallery and all that stuff we're kind of chewing over the now, is I had like I've got a really strong La Liga theme. You know, I've got tons of players across different teams, even just the wider context of it all. And then I'm looking at, right, how many guys do I have in the Bundesliga, Serie A, etc. Now, I'm not henceforth going out and building strength out in these places, but I'm making myself aware of it. So see now, like, I've got this problem with this Nonto. It's going to Everton. It's not really that great for me. I'd much rather he was at Leeds or something, obviously. But I'm probably not going to get a Bundesliga forward to replace him. You know, I ideally want something that can play maybe a bit of champ. I'm going to move him on if I'm not going to get an under 23 option, which he was originally for me. I probably wouldn't buy a Prem striker either, from knowing the kind of depth I've got in these leagues rather than the region, if you get me. So it's more that, yeah, I'm going to focus more on making sure that I've got a really robust La Liga setup, so that if the game week is a La Liga one, this isn't a new strategy for just general people or whatever, but just try and make sure that works. And then probably second to that, I'm maybe a wee bit catching up with some Serie A, maybe about half a team's worth of Serie A guys knocking around. So it's more in that sense, because we've seen the region get a bit of love. We've seen what they've done with the common modes. And eventually there will be a point where there'll probably be the Champion Euro individual leagues. We'll probably have regular SO5 competitions probably way down the path. But I don't know. That's probably the main frame of mind I've been in with the pruning of the gallery, is just making sure, because it's really the Joe Hart problem for me, but in reverse. And it's like making sure that when all my good players are playing, I can get them into a team. And the problem with me not having a Joe Hart is that if McGregor's playing, there's no guarantee I've got a keeper, you know. And I'm really hesitant to go and get the keeper because I know I'm probably going to have to pay through the nose for the next one. So why pay anything for this one that's probably not going to last too long is my main problem with it. So yeah, it's more that it's just making sure when the main guys are going, you can get the team out is the main pruning move.
Yeah. I think that's something that people overlook all the time. Like they buy all these guys and then they look at a game week and they think, oh, I've got half a team. And that's why stacking works. Might not be optimal to stack, but if you've got a small gallery, if you buy guys for the same team, you're getting collection bonus and you can guarantee they're going to play in the same game week. So, like, actually, if you're starting out and you don't have a huge bankroll or whatever money you want to spend, if you're a Celtic fan, then buying 7 or 8 Celtic guys is quite good because you know that they'll play this weekend. You know next weekend they won't play because it's a cup. You know the next weekend they've got a really good fixture, but you know they're all playing at the same time. Whereas if you get one guy from America and one guy from here, there, and everywhere, and you get to November and think, oh, he's not got a game for 3 months, like that's the end of the season. So it's kind of focusing in your wee kind of silos or like players on different sort of areas and different game weeks and things as well, or even different regions as well. You know, sometimes you can be tempted to get a cheap goalkeeper from a certain place or whatever, and then you look at it, and because of this Leagues Cup thing on, most of the teams are out. So then you've got a couple of weeks where you have no goalkeeper at all. So you've got to kind of plan ahead with stuff like that. And I was always telling people to plan ahead, and then I had a couple of weeks with no under 23 goalkeeper, but I couldn't really plan it because you didn't know what games were going to be covered in the conference and the Champions League qualifiers. You didn't know who was still going to be in with the Leagues Cup. It was just kind of impossible because there was nobody you could really nail down and say, yeah, he'll definitely be playing that week. But Quinn's exhausted.
Very exhausted.
Your battery is exhausted, or are you exhausted listening to us here, Quinny?
No, the battery's melted.
You want to wrap it up then? If you guys are finished up, I'm quite happy to wrap it up if you've melted your setup.
Yeah, my last question was going to be, because I was having a little look around, obviously we just said mentioned Joe Hart a lot. Question to each of you is, who's the top 3 realistic goalkeeper targets that you would have in order, third to first? I'll start with you, McBride.
For Celtic, Nick College, Guy Ireland, linked with Ajax and only for a few million. So I think he's probably a realistic one. I'd love an Unner style, actually. I think somebody like that would be great because he's just so solid, but I think he's just actually renewing his contract. So maybe not realistic, but I think actually somebody like that would be really good. And maybe as a sort of younger goalkeeper, maybe like somebody like from Cavallina from Croatia, you know, just kind of confirmed the move away from Zagreb, but wanted to play, and obviously looks like a really good young goalkeeper. And there've been guys that have probably mentioned on that, even without cards, who've actually already moved. You know, like the guy Hermansen that's moved to Leicester, he's really good. The odd goalkeeper, Leopold Wallstead, he's come into Blackburn and he's replaced your guy who's moved to Luton. And he was really highly thought of in Scandinavia. So I do think if we sign a goalie and it's a young one, it'll maybe even be somebody we've not really sort of heard of before. But I think they're definitely out there. What do you think, Quinny? Who would you have for Celtic in terms of somebody that can actually make a save?
If we were buying somebody today, I would be selfish and say probably number 1 is phone David Soria and see if we can get him to Glasgow, because I think he's a genuine. He's like Spanish Fraser Foster. Like, he's a proper keeper. You know, he's a really good keeper. I like him a lot. If we were to get somebody young, I would love us to try and get Ivor Pandur. He's now owned by Warwick or something like that, not Verona. So maybe he's got a wee cheeky fee you can get him for. And I think statistics-wise, somebody who I would like to buy their card, I think Celtic could be in the market for them because of the profile of them and the price they would probably be on the market. And I've got no reason to think that they're in for them. It's just, you know, news if I heard this name before. But Nikola Vasilj, the Sapoli goalkeeper, he's like mid-20, 27, plays all the time. Stats are quality, like passing at the ball. and saving and stuff. And Celtic could probably get him for like 4 million quid and be buzzing about it. You know what I mean? 'Cause he plays for St. Pauli in Bundesliga too. It's not like going in and getting Trubin from Shakhtar or Livakovic from Zagreb, you know.
Nice.
So they're the three I would say that spring to mind. Hendo. Which is why if it is anyone like any of them, as soon as they go to Celtic, they're going to be way more expensive than Joe Hart is. So I'm really struggling to spend Joe Hart money to know that I'll need to spend it again.
I think that makes sense. Any shouts yourself, Hendo, or were you just wanting the Celtic?
I was just wanting your expertise. Obviously, I'd rather it was someone who is owned by me, but I'm not sure there's many that will kind of walk into that mold. I don't know. Maybe someone like Angus Gunn would make sense. I've just noticed his price, by the way. I'm actually considering selling him, even though he's got that Scotland utility. The price is just ridiculous. Yeah, he's got that championship utility. But he's at a good age, and he'd maybe cost about 5-6 mil. But he's a decent keeper, and obviously he's Scottish, which helps. Outside of that, it's tough to say. Obviously Livakovic would be pretty apex. I think he's probably due to go somewhere else, and I don't know, maybe a loan from like a sort of Premier League team. I know that Kelleher was kind of mentioned a few times. I don't know if he would drop down because he's kind of nailed in that number 2 and he will get minutes, but he'd be a good one to consider, I think.
Yeah.
Who do we get Muric?
I don't know. You've got a weird obsession with Muric, so I don't think he's actually that good a keeper.
If he was dropped for Trafford, you know, if he kind of takes the huff that he's not playing, then it might be a realistic move. I think he's kind of, at the moment, fancied to actually start on Friday night still, so maybe they'll kind of ease Trafford in a wee bit in terms of the EPL just because of his age. But then they've spent like 19 million in Trafford, and he is pretty good. You know, I actually ended up watching him for Bolton last season because I had him on Ultimate Champion, and then he was playing the under 21s games for England, and I watched a few of those games as well. And he is a good goalkeeper, but he's not as big or as imposing as Muric. And obviously in the EPL, you're going to have to do stuff like coming for corners and all that type of stuff. And Burnley will be under the cosh. So I actually think Muric would be kind of the perfect goalkeeper for them there because he's a shot stopper, right? And if you're under the cosh, you want somebody to be keeping the other team out. But I think it's realistic, but it would have to get dropped first, and it's probably not going to happen soon, is it? So
yeah, that's true.
Good stuff. Right, we need to finish the video with the customary channel end. So everybody's got to say good luck and go fuck.
Good luck and go fuck.
Good luck and go fuck.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very much for coming on the channel. When I end this, it's going to kick you off because it's going to download the video, but have a good one. Hope everybody...
Is it finished recording yet?
It's still recording just now, aye.
Oh,
but when I click end here, it's going to chuck you off because I know sometimes we have a chat afterwards. But it's
I was going to say you can cut me off, but Szymanski's got 2 assists in 3 minutes, so you can cut this bit off if you want. But he's unfortunately, my man's done nothing earlier against a nothing team, so my 4-man cap 240 has not reached the cap. Shock.
Right. Well, I'm going to chuck you off now. Right. Thanks so much for coming on.
Ya.
I'm not even going to edit that out because that's too technical for me. I'm just going to press end and then it downloads, right? Cheers, guys. Away already. Thanks, Quinny. See you later, man.